we will be sharing it with every person that's joining us today, as well as every person that registered. Not everybody may be able to join live. And yeah, so we will start in about maybe a minute or two, and hopefully again more people will join. And we're also live on YouTube, as you may see.
Cool.
Okay. All right. I think. What do you think, guys? Should we begin? It's 1:01. Yeah. All right. Thanks again for joining. My name is George. I represent Reply.io. My role is partnership manager, although I'm also part of the sales team. So it's kind of like I'm wearing two hats. And the reason we have gathered today is to talk about agency-related kind of processes when it comes to when it comes to using technology solutions like ours. So let me give you an overview of what we're going to be talking about. I'm going to be looking at some notes here. So partially the reason we have decided to do this, we here at Reply, our management, decided to do a webinar is because we feel like agencies who use automation platforms like ours are kind of a little bit underserved by software vendors, especially in this segment, because there's a lot of different software segments, obviously, in marketing automation, which has been an established market for quite a while. There are tons of great players, but in sales automation, or in a more personalized outreach automation space, multi-channel outreach automation space, we feel like agencies, even though agencies do a lot of heavy lifting in terms of sales, in terms of marketing, inbound, outbound, and everything, we feel like companies are, underserved in the sense that you still get everything that a typical kind of sales organization in a typical company would get. And we decided to kind of do something about it as a company, and that has translated to arranging this call today so that we will talk about some kind of best practices that our partners that are joining us today will be sharing, as well as we will talk about what we here at Reply are doing in that direction as well. We are developing certain things that are relevant only for agencies. Maybe not only for agencies, but agencies might find those automation tools and those little tweaks to systems like ours beneficial. And not a lot of our competitors are doing that. So we want to kind of give back to the agency community, if you will, and give kind of more value and again give back to the community. So with that, I would like to introduce our speakers. We are joined by Shaheem Alam, Chief Strategy Officer at FiveRings Marketing. FiveRings Marketing is an outsourced SDR for SaaS companies. It helps SaaS companies grow their revenue by helping them book qualified meetings and build a scalable sales process. Alessandro Bogliari, a co-founder and CEO of the Influencer Marketing Factory, which is a global influencer marketing agency that helps companies engage with Gen Z and millennials on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. And finally, Vladislav Podolyak, founder and CEO at Belkins and Folderly. Belkins is a technology company that leverages proprietary technology to set appointments with target client prospects for revenue leaders. And Folderly is an AI-based email deliverability platform for monitoring, spam testing, and maintaining email deliverability by solving spam issues. So thank you guys for joining. And what I would like to start with is in the theme of this conversation today. I would like to start with kind of a general question to if you guys could kind of introduce yourself, your business a little bit, how you got to kind of where you are today, how you ended up in the agency business, and how you, more importantly, how you manage to stay in the business, knowing how competitive and tough the agency business is. What kind of strategy did you find to be a winning strategy for yourself? Whether it's going very niche and focusing on a very specific market, technology, or customer persona, or the opposite, is it diversification and maybe targeting multiple different niches, or is it maybe a number of pivots along the way? So we're curious to learn how you ended up being where you are. Again, I wanted to make a note that these guys are three of our top performing agencies, our partners here at Reply. So they clearly know what they're doing, and we would, and hopefully you guys who are joining this conversation can learn something and take away something of value from this conversation. So let's probably start with you, Vlad. The mic is yours.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Pleasure meeting you all here. So to start, talking about Balkans, our sales development agency that we running around 3 years for now. We started, Michael and I, my partner, started this kind of agency business when we worked in previous company where we covered the cold email marketing, the cold outbound stuff, and we was pretty successful in it. We work with tough industry, which is news and media companies across the world. We work with companies like BBC, Washington Post, New York Times, and we set appointments with them. We're using some techniques with outbound cold email outreach. So we gathered all of our expertise there and started to had some discussion with Michael that we need to use our skills and try to bring those experience to the people. And it was usual weekend. Michael and I started to sending some emails. We find out the leads and sending few emails that we can source you as an additional revenue stream. And we day after week after that, we close one client, and we understand that we need to build website. We need to came up with the execution for those clients and deliver the result we promised. And we get this kind of understanding that we can run some sort of appointment setting on behalf of our clients and be successful, because the way how we do this in the previous company, we was as I mentioned before pretty successful in it. And the first client, second client, we spend some evening to create the site on the Wix, the web builder for websites, and we create a awful site that you probably never send any information on there, because there's bad fonts, bad graphics. We put some clouds in it. It's self-development for B2B companies. Yeah, let's start get your ROI from those kind of marketing efforts. And we're starting to close clients, even though we find out that our first clients even don't care about our website, because they just don't care about because they just care about the result they're getting, and they in 19% cases never visit our website. And we just got the idea that we need to spend more and more efforts on our outbound channel and gather as many appointments as we can. And 3 years after, now we have hundreds of people on Balkans. We pivoted our email marketing to Folderly, the SaaS company for maintaining email deliverability, since the email marketing bread and butter for Balkans, and it's our primary source for appointment setting, outreach, lead generation. And yeah, this is how we get here.
So only 3 years. So you're saying you started 3 years ago?
Right.
Got it. That's pretty impressive. Alessandro, what about you?
Yeah, we started October 2018, but I'd say more early 2019. So it's 2 years now. We scale up organically. What we do is only influencer marketing. I mean, the name is Influencer Marketing Factory, so it's easy to understand that what we do it is all influencer marketing. We choose that type of like niche. The big differentiation is that as soon as we started the company, we saw a blue ocean market. And a lot of agencies and a lot of people were saying it's just a kids app, don't look into that. But actually, we saw in TikTok a big opportunity. We started doing landing pages and informative pieces and like ebooks and things like that to give it for free to people. And we really bet on that. And actually, we started doing the focusing on TikTok influencer marketing since early 2018. One of the first campaigns that we have done was for Sony Music, and after that we got Universal Music and then Warner Music Group, and then many other clients like Google and other Fortune 100, 500 clients, up to maybe smaller clients at DTC. But we mostly focus on that. And since I have also I started my career as a growth hacker or growth marketer, I always loved a combination of automation plus out-of-the-box techniques. And so what we have done, and then of course I think that we will talk about it later more, but instead of just using automation to push for sales, we so far used it to give it away useful information to journalists that got us for free. Like, we are not paying a PR. We got several times on the Wall Street Journal, Forbes, Ad Week, Ad Age, Business Insiders, you name it. So what we're doing is that, since we're into the influencer marketing arena, what we noticed is that a lot of agencies are mostly doing, let's say, I don't want to say old marketing, old school marketing, but they're still maybe doing a lot of ads and things like that. We decided to push on a different way, saying, let's go with a longer shot, but something that can actually bring you to the decision makers that are the brand managers reading these type of publications. And we used scraping techniques and different tools that we put those into reply. And to be honest, we got so much brand awareness and spotlights almost for free. That has been amazing. And yeah, I mean, we only focus on influencer marketing, most of these 3 different social media, and combining together automation plus knowledge and giving for free different useful information every single month. I think that is it's a great way to to grow. And yeah, I mean, this is what we have been doing for the initial 2 years that actually what we're in business for. So.
Got it. So this is a very interesting use case. It's not your typical kind of client outreach. As you're saying, it's more of a PR kind of oriented outreach. But I was wondering, how did you end up at the TikTok and YouTube and the social media kind of space? Was it a conscious decision because you saw that no one else was kind of catering to that market? Or did you just stumble on that market just accidentally?
I'd say a combination of things. I'm I'd say really curious about what is happening all the time. For example, now I'm definitely looking into what is happening in China and the Asian markets that are ages ahead of what is happening with e-commerces, social commerces, super apps. So I always love to see what was outside Europe, where I'm from, and the US, where I'm based now. To learn more from other cultures, other countries. And so first of all, it was mostly where is the social media going? And definitely there was not the first influencer marketing agency. There are some already for 10 years. So we didn't definitely invent anything new. We just found a different way to look into influencer marketing as a combination of digital marketing. So all the different metrics that we have to look into, plus a blue ocean market that was new social media. So in that case was TikTok. And now we're looking, of course, what is happening in the next one. But then again, I was also already in the arena before, more on the informative side. And since I had to read a lot, that what was happening, I'm talking about 150 articles a day just about the topic. After a while, you say, hey, I already know how to run an agency. Influencer marketing is growing by the billions every year. So why not to combine these things together? So definitely, finding a good blue ocean, and things sometimes also randomly, right? I got because of some luck and some others was data science behind that, a combination of things, I'd say. But happy to be in a really growing space. I feel that lucky, especially with COVID and everything. So can't complain.
Got it. And I probably know the answer to this question, but are you gonna monetize Clubhouse in any way?
I mean, I think that is a nice idea. I can see that it's already like getting a bit less of attraction lately. So I don't know. It's a bit still new to me. Like, I mean, I've been active and talking and everything, but it's gonna be interesting to see. To be honest, from a couple of days now, I'm playing with Dispo, the new app from by David Dobrik. I don't know if you have heard about it. It's a new sort of like Instagram without filters, more authentic, relatable type of living social, like the social media aesthetics. So yeah, Clubhouse, and there are so many things. To be honest, I think that a lot of is happening all in the same, like in the latest 6 months. And I think that now marketers have to understand what is super hyped and what actually can go to the long term type of relationships. So I don't want to say anything about Clubhouse. I think it is still pretty young, and some marketers are going there trying to do sort of ads and things like that. But I don't know if it is going to be maybe something that is going to be that integrated in the marketing channels for a lot of brands. It's still new, and a lot of people are skeptical about the potential ROI of that. So I'm cautious about any type of feedbacks for now.
Got it. Okay, and Shaheem, tell us a little bit about yourself.
For sure. So our story, and I apologize for the echo here in this room, but our story is actually kind of similar to Vlad, where myself and my co-founder Nilufar, we both come up from a sales background. I did door-to-door sales before moving into SaaS sales. It was an SDR, AE, and we were at a point where there were a bunch of companies that were looking to hire us as salespeople, and we just said, okay, why don't we start a company and just serve all of the companies rather than working as an employee for one, right? That's where the idea came from, to start the sales agency. Now, FiveRings Marketing, it was around for about 4 years before, just as kind of like a side business for, ads, PPC, website development. But really, it was a year and a half ago where we started focusing heavily on the sales side, and offering this outbound service to, appointment setting service for SaaS companies. And I mean, once we decided to do that, we said, okay, let's do it. Let's try to get clients. Nilufar reached into her network. We started outbound on LinkedIn, and we got our first client. We said, okay, time to start delivering. We sat, created email sequences and LinkedIn sequences. And, and initially it was a lot of manual work. We were doing it all manually. There was no automation. We just wanted to see if we do this for a client, will it work? And it did. And then we got our second client, our third client, hired our first employee. And pretty much from there, we said, okay, we've kind of validated that there's a need for this. So then we started implementing processes, started automating things. And it essentially just really took off. And to answer your question in terms of a niche or kind of going wide, we really focus on B2B SaaS companies. That's our bread and butter. A lot of our clients are based in the San Francisco Bay Area, and we started kind of getting word spreading in those circles as well, getting referrals, and ultimately that's the niche that we focused on. And then now here we are.
Got it. I have a quick question, and I think some people joining us today might be interested. At which point do you typically decide that if you have like a side business, like a side hustle, at which point do you decide to drop everything else, quit your job and go do the agency full time? When was it for you? Like, when was that deciding point?
So I've always been in commission only sales for a very, very long time. So in terms of risk and kind of having, nothing to fall back on, that's something that I've always been used to. But I think it just came to a point where, again, my co-founder, Nilufar, she had always wanted to focus 100% on the business. And I've always wanted to, move away from commission sales and have a business as well. Then it just gets to a point where you're like, okay, if not now, then when? I get this question from other people as well. And I feel like there's no perfect time. There's no right time. You just decide and you just do it, and you see what happens. and that's pretty much it. There's no big calculation or risk assessment or anything that's done. It's just, you just have to pull the trigger on it.
Got it. So hopefully, as long as you're still young, you can, afford to fail a few times in your life. I think.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too, for sure. Absolutely. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? I mean, it's. I'm 27 right now. Anything happens, I can always go get a job, right? Like that's something like that kind of always sticks in the back of my mind, is I can always get a job. Let me try this right now.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Let's probably switch gears a little bit and talk about more kind of concrete strategic things, more in line with what our company is about, what Reply is about, which is automation. So I wanted to ask you what role automation plays in your processes, and not necessarily about Reply, but I was curious what what software solutions you think that other agencies might not be even thinking about, that might make their life easier in any area, from accounting to sales outreach using tools like Reply. So your experience with automation tools and how it helps make your life easier and eventually close more deals with your clients, with your agencies. Vlad?
Yeah, so to give like people that watching us now the brief idea about what kind of business agency is. So everyone probably knows that for scaling sales, like any professional service businesses, you need to have more people, hire more people. But on the other hand, we have this kind of automation thing, and this is the way how we can like earn more revenue, automate some processes to like save some time by automate something. And this is like second way to grow agency business with the same people, right? And for in Balkans, for outbound activities, for example, we build automation across the Reply platform, which is help us to send out cold emails. For example, for sustaining email deliverability, we're using our own proprietary tool, which is Folderly. For leads, the one thing we can't like automate where the way it is right now, this like leads database lead scraping, because we approach it manually, because we want to guarantee like high quality leads at the end, and we need to like be in every step of the process. So leads like semi-manual, I can say, is because we're validating is those leads with a kind of Reply and any other tools like Zero Bounce and I guess Quick Mail and any other tools that related to email validation. So in terms of like email automation, the Reply doing a great job. So I can like recommend the Reply here. And without any automation, you can imagine that I have in my team like 25 SDRs, and if they will, for example, for our internal processes, they will send each and every email by the hands, and on our volumes, it's 200, 500 emails per day from one SDR. I guess it will like 10-hour work with back and forth clicking the buttons in Gmail, putting the content there. But yeah, if you want to automate something, you should definitely like spend some time to understand what you can't automate, because you will save time, you will save or increase your revenue there. So the things also can be automated in agencies, like your invoicing, your accounting. For invoicing, we're using tools like WaveUp. For accounting, we're using like QuickBooks setup, that they help us with all sorts of P&L stuff. But from day one, I can recommend the one tool that's great for anything in the life. It's like Excel or Google spreadsheets, because you know that you like work with the data, you put everything with your spreadsheets. Even when you have your CRM tool, you have some spreadsheets for a reason, because everything should keep you should keep in a spreadsheet. So automation is the way to grow and to save some time, and as I mentioned, like increase revenue here.
All right, thanks, thanks, Lad. Alessandro, what other tools do you use to help you with your day-to-day processes with your team?
Yeah, sure. I'd say that like we have like we usually split like between the agency that works for the clients, right? So all the management of the different influencer marketing campaigns, but then also there is all the work to grow the agency itself, right? So SEO and cold outreach, all these type of things. For both, big fan of data scraping. To be honest, there are like from easy for not even tech people, like you can use things like Data Miner and the Recipe Creator for Chrome. You can easily install them, and yeah, if you know some CSS, HTML, and JavaScript, it definitely helps. But even for not tech people, with seriously a click of a mouse, you can easily save hours of work at the end of the month. Because imagine if you have to scrape a directory, you have to scrape certain data, you can use that. That is just for easy things. There are some others also tools. There is one, I'm forgetting now the names, but you can even actually automate like all the different actions on a certain page, and you can go through different detailed flows. And you can really like have, instead of maybe paying for a person, just do what I call monkey task. That like we have brains that are not developed, like we can do so much more, right, in our life. Why spend time in doing copy paste? I think that is, we are not like designed for that. So if you can have a machine to do that, you should. So this is like a one that we use. But usually we do a combination of like this data mining. Always what I say it is that never try to get too many data just because. So always thinking about like, if I'm gonna use this data, why, and all the different reasons. So you don't want to spam people randomly, and you don't want just to get too much data. A lot of people think that, oh, if I go with a super quantity of people, I can get my CTR and my conversion rate like that. So, at the end of the day, I can convert, but I'm more for the quality from the beginning. And so you still spend time a bit more maybe at the beginning to filter the right type of people, the right type of data that you want to get. And then you can polish the data and get in front of only the people that you really care. So what we do is that, like Data Miner for that one, automation with Zapier for many things, from Google Sheets to having notification. When it comes to like our campaigns, we have Google Sheets with other integrations where we scrape from HTML directly data such as number of vanity metrics or anything else that we need. And in that way, you don't even have to pay expensive, crazy prices for platforms, whatever, because you can easily do that by yourself with easy formulas on Google Sheet. And lastly, I am a big fan of Ahref for SEO. So it helps you to see and do competitor analysis of our other websites' backlinks. So for example, what you can do is that you download a CSV of certain backlinks from your competitors' websites. You take like everything in Excel, then you filter. What we do, we filter by domain authority and page authority and some other factors. And then you can also automate the funding with certain APIs, Hunter.io or many others. There are so many other ways to find emails, even with reply. There are a lot of integrations. And after that, you take everything under control. You find first name, last name, the role, some dynamic field. We put everything, for example, for journalist or competitor's website, we put that in reply. And we try to be really like with the personal touch all the time and get in front of the right people, but straight to the point. Like we know that if we are contacting a journalist, it's because this person already wrote about a certain topic and they might have mentioned a competitor or a certain topic. And we tell them we have the information insights for you. And thanks to that, we got many of that. So again, if you can combine data scraping plus the right type of filtering, CSV formulas, and you put that like in a tool like Reply, I think that you can not just save on people, but again, you can use your time more for the strategic thinking than just wasting time on copy paste or manually sending things. So we used that so far, and it worked like a charm.
Sounds good. You actually already answered one of my follow-up questions, which is, do you use any tools to kind of bind that all together? Which is, I think, Zapier would be a good example of that, but also native integrations between those various tools that support other tools. But I was also wondering about So you were talking about the kind of the top of the funnel stuff, where to scrape the data, how to clean the data, and how to funnel the, the qualified type of contacts into the automation. But do you use anything at the end of the process where, let's say, you export the data, things like Google, what's it called? Google, the analytics product from Google, which is I'm not
Data Studio, I guess.
The Data Studios. Thank you. Do you use any of that to build the types of analytics that you specifically want to see applied to your use case?
Yeah, I mean, more than the studio, it's a combination of two different things. One, it is for marketing, just the easy of Google Analytics to track everything with UTM parameters and any other firing events, anything that you want to. And then some integration with Salesforce, mostly for the sales team, to do an easy calculation of the ROI of each channel. So some are, of course, more difficult to understand because are longer shot, and it's a bit difficult to maybe track all the different steps. But I'd say that for marketing, for someone for an agency like ours, where we don't have to go and be that granular about the each details, just easy like that as Google Analytics. And then yes, any type of integration for Salesforce to see at the end the work that we've done, what brought us, and doing maybe some customer acquisition cost analysis and ratio with ROI and lifetime value. But in that case, to be honest, we also prefer still to have some human behind that, because it's easy sometimes to maybe put data that the attribution could be wrong or not 100% accurate. So we still like to have qualitative and quantitative type of data together and having a human being checking on those before maybe having just a system and a machine that do that for you. But at the end of the month, maybe it just doesn't make sense. So I always say this, try to save hours, but still get on top of everything there, because it's okay to trust data, but sometimes maybe you click the wrong button or you put the wrong UTM parameters, and then you're going to spend money on a marketing that is actually not bringing you anything. So
makes sense. All right, thank you, Shaheem. I'm guessing the Google thing that I again forgot. You're using that?
No. So in terms of automation, so in outbound sales, we strongly believe in a multi-channel approach. I think that always works very, very well. So for our clients and for ourselves internally, what we focus on is initially kind of outreaching via LinkedIn, and then also having touch points via email. And then also, when you're connecting with people on LinkedIn, there's going to be a lot of people that don't connect with you. Well, you still want to get in touch with them. So we need to contact those guys via email as well. So initially we were doing all of that very, very manually. We would, export a list of all the people that didn't accept our invites and then try to find their emails and then, put them into reply. All of it was done manually. And now we have an automated process essentially where, we have, of course, a LinkedIn tool that we use, and using Zapier has saved us so much time. I mean, I would recommend that tool so much for anything. So essentially, the workflow that we have is when someone connects with a prospect. So when someone connects with a prospect, then that prospect is thrown into an email finder. At the moment we use Get Prospect. And using Zapier is put into an email finder. If we find their email, then they're pushed into a reply campaign. So now and the way that it's set up is basically, they'll receive a couple messages on LinkedIn, and then email, and then LinkedIn, and then email, so on and so forth. Same with the people where, we send out a connection request on LinkedIn and they don't accept the invite. Once that invite is withdrawn, they're going into Get Prospect. We're finding the email. If we find the email, they're going into reply.io, into a separate campaign over there. So that whole automation of that workflow has saved us hours on just doing all that process manually. We do like to do, as Vlad mentioned this as well, is the finding the leads part. You definitely want to do it a more manual approach. And I think even Alessandro said there has to be somebody looking at the data, because you don't want to. The worst thing you can do in sales is to do outreach and you're just sending the wrong message to the wrong people. It doesn't work. So we definitely, in terms of getting the leads, whether we're using Sales Navigator or we're using Zoom Info, that's done a bit more manually. But the whole outbound process is completely automated.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of started answering my next kind of big question about the multi-channel approach. So thanks for that. But so before we jump to that, one other question I had was, what tools do you guys, if you use any, to maybe monitor and measure the internal activity within the team, within your team of people doing the outreach? Do you measure their performance? You know, how many calls they're making, how many emails they're sending, and do you feed that into your kind of dashboard to measure not only the outreach itself, but also, you know, measure the performance of each team member?
Definitely use, yeah, in terms of calls and emails and things like that, you know, Reply has those metrics. So we definitely use those and then transfer them into a Google Sheets to analyze, okay, how many meetings are actually resulting from this outreach? What are those activities resulting in? So definitely, yeah, that is something that we do. Yeah.
Vlad, any tools internally? It doesn't have to be a Reply. Just curious if
Sure.
what kind of, because it's, you know, it's also part of the agency, a big part, I'm assuming, of an agency business, to optimize your internal resources and not waste resources on let's say an underperformer.
So this is a great question. As I mentioned, like spreadsheet, how we utilize them. So the way our people work in our company, we build the process across the performance-based model where everyone committed to their results, and they have their own like salary spreadsheets with their KPIs where everything counts up. So they like put their meetings, everything like calculated, their bonuses, their salary, their compensation at the end. And all of those spreadsheets go through the data studio, and we're getting like the main idea what kind of where are we staying at in terms of the performance of each team member, each department. With a research department, the way it works, they have like KPI, let me say, document where they put their how many leads we found like today, how many leads we will find like last week for this particular ideal customer profile. With account managers that works directly with the clients, we have the like relationship spreadsheet where we put all of those metrics, and at the end this is why I told like the spreadsheet is like a universal tool where you can put everything, gather information to every tool like Data Studio or whatever. And we're like planning to build something in-house to like get all of those sources and create some sort of like internal tool where we can put those like metrics, KPIs, the additional objectives, the goal of company goal, and for example, their learning plan. So yeah, we're utilizing the spreadsheets, Data Studio, and each and every team member put all of those like metrics by their own.
And you trust individual sales reps to measure their to provide their numbers, or do you have someone that's monitoring that as well?
No, they monitor their performance by their own, because they actually understand, and everything like lay like on the top that what for the sales executives, executives particularly, they count their deals. They were using, for that matter, HubSpot. They pretty like automated each and every step of pipeline. The automation that emails, follow-ups works through the pipeline in HubSpot, and the way they put their targets and the way they put their like close deals, the money they get, which is the way how their compensation structure works. They put everything but their own, and works because this is all about our culture here. We build the let's say blue company where everyone understands where we think at in terms of the company, our goals, our each and like personal goals. Everyone understands why their colleague do this stuff and this stuff.
So a bit of kind of competitiveness element to it, so that everybody sees everybody else's numbers and they
right.
Okay, got it. All right, so let's move on to the next kind of set of questions, which is more about even more tactical stuff, which is multi-channel approach. I'm always curious to learn about very specific examples. It might not apply to every single kind of person that's joining this call today, but Alessandro, for instance, what kind of combination of different channels, and do you use multi-channel at all in the outreach cadence that you find the kind of the winning combination for you? You don't have to use all of them, and we do understand that sometimes you don't have phone numbers and you can't make a phone call or send a text message. But in your example, what channels do work and why, if you can answer that?
Yeah, sure. I think that something that I learned a lot, doing a lot of years of growth hacking. It is that when you're like a growth hacker, you do like maybe 30, 40 different channels, and at the end of the day, it's always the 80-20 rule, right? You do so many things, and it's easy to waste money or waste your time on so many little actions that are bringing you so much time away of your time and bringing so little. So I'm definitely a big fan of multi-channel, mostly because you don't want to put all your eggs in the same basket. Of course, you want to differentiate and see each channel what is bringing you. But one advice that I give it is you do not have necessarily to be in each channel just because other agencies or other businesses are investing in it. For example, we do not invest in Facebook advertisement, Instagram advertisement, or Twitter advertisement, or anything that is on social media. Even if we work in social media, we know that our decision makers, the brand managers, head of marketing, whenever they are on social media, they're trying to relax their mind, right? So why we should try to get in that moment of their day, right? We would spend mostly, at least for what we do. We know that we do mostly we get the majority of leads thanks to SEO, inbound, word of mouth. Again, backlinks from big publications. So we know that what is working mostly for us, it is different combinations of inbound. And so I'm talking about, again, the majority of them, it's partnerships, lead generations, all these type of things. And whenever it comes to outbound, we do, as said before, a bit differently from the majority of the times when you do outreach, right? So it's not directly to the team, from the sales team to the brand. We still do some cold, but the majority of the times it is using these activities to go to publications and get more brand awareness. And we wait for the brands to come to us. We want to spend more time on positioning and be associated with being the authority in our niche. So in that way, what I learned personally is that it's of course way easier to close a brand that comes to you because they recognize in you the experts, and they are a warm lead, a hot prospect that has already in mind to do an influencer marketing campaign, compared to maybe just going there and do cold outreach. So you can still do cold outreach, but I always try to prefer to having, knowing that I've been in front of those eyes already. That could be thanks to remarketing, thanks to any other tracking tools. So, all the time it's I'm trying to be in their shoes, and it's what if I receive this SMS? What if I receive this email? What if I see this ad? I'm trying to not thinking about all the times agency owners make the mistakes to think that they have the best product. But, of course, it's our baby, so we think the best of it. But a lot of the times, what it is in their eyes of someone watching from outside might not be the same. So long story short, I'm trying personally to all the time mix different things together. But what I learned it is that once you find your 5 different maybe channels, keep with it. And sometimes maybe do a new test. But I prefer to find in the 5 that maybe I have and do A/B testing in a sort of continuously optimization loop of the one that are working. So for example, for us, I know there is SEO. It is outreach to journalists. It is a certain ebook / reporting, and it is a combination of word of mouth and referral marketing, and maybe a 5th that I'm still have to find. And these are the ones. And at the end, you have to, I think, focus on those because maybe there are other 20, but it might not work for your agency. And not just because you see your competitors doing that, you have to just doing that or copy the others. So sometimes it's also better to think in your way And, maybe sometimes not even looking too much at the competition. You might go off topic, and through the different path of what you're looking for. So yeah, big fan of that, but always thinking how can you use your time only focusing on what matters. And so just to finish this, again, Google Analytics for the UTM parameters and then Salesforce combined together to do an easy calculation of customer acquisition cost, lifetime value of each different customer, and see which channel is bringing you what, and what is the typical lead, cost per lead by channel. That's what we're doing so far, and it's working well. But that's personally for us. I know other agencies doing 20 different type of actions, and it's still working for them. So this is our way to go.
Okay, so finding the right combination of channels and just doubling down on what works. In terms of, so what I'm hearing is you're mostly focusing on inbound as the highest value, which is, a lot of the time is a luxury in this business, based even on our experience here at Reply. But what's your kind of strategy from there? Let's say people end up on your websites. Do you call them right away? Do you send them an email? Do you connect with them on LinkedIn? Like, what's the approach, if there is any, or every single agent operator of the system is choosing their own kind of
yeah, I mean, we position ourselves pretty well for certain long tail keywords, so we are we are now fourth, I think, in the United States for influencer marketing agency. We're second for TikTok influencer marketing agency. We're second for YouTube influencer marketing agency. I mean, if you're looking for that, you're not looking for that personas in marketing, marketing personas. It is someone that it is looking for a solution and they already have in mind what to do. So it's not just looking around for influencer marketing. It is really specific. When they come to us, they usually find a landing page that goes to a contact form, or we have pop-ups for maybe the TikTok ebook has been downloaded several times, thousands of times. And both of them, we know that they're two different types of personas. The contact form, we know that is a hot lead ready to go. And the TikTok ebook is more on the educational side, the type of phase. But for both, we know that we don't like to call them. We don't like to send them too much. After a while, again, I'm trying to thinking about if I am the customer. If I do not reply after 2-3 emails, I mean, it's not a match, right? Okay, you downloaded that, you contacted us, and maybe you find something else. I don't want to bother you. I don't want to be that type of agency, looking for you all the single time. We're in a good position where we can choose. So if there is a match and you contact us and you're happy with what we're giving to you, let's go with that. But something that I told to my sales team, never cold calling, because when they do to me, I don't like it. So why should I cold call the others? So all the time it's inbound email, trying to respect the client from day one on their own timings and take their time for prospecting and everything. So they come to us. So we're that lucky, I'd say, on that phase. But we try not to push too much. I personally don't like when people push on me. So again, why should I do that on potential clients?
Understood. All right, thank you. Okay, so we have a few more minutes left. So what I wanted to, so maybe wrap up before we move on to our part of the presentation. I wanted to ask you guys if you can recommend for agencies or people joining us who want to, let's say, start their own agency, because I'm noticing a lot of the time the barrier of entry is pretty low for, let's say, a salesperson in an organization to start an agency. So for those people who are just starting out, any kind of word of advice, maybe 3 items that you would recommend focusing on when building out an agency that will, persevere, that will stay in the business. So what may be mistakes to avoid? So just maybe in bullet points, a couple of, or maybe 3 items that you would recommend. Let's start with Vlad.
Okay, so the things that agency missing at the beginning, I guess I have my top 3 of them. This is kind of execution, commitment, and delivery. Speaking about execution, you should care about like quality of your services, and you should not like delegate everything when you start the agency. You should like sit alongside your people and work with each and every process, even like that's like the statement that founder need to like to sell at least like for 40 or 50K in new sales revenue before it delegate everything. So first of all, focus on the execution, the way you approach each tasks, the way you approach like, for example, you have a meeting with a client. You can ping them like 5 hours before, asking like, we have a meeting like in 5 hours. Will you be there? My name is Vlad. I will be with you on a meeting, or 10 minutes before the meeting, send again like a reminder. And this kind of the little things that you can work with to give like a great expression about you. And this is the execution I'm talking about, because the way we're like positioning at the beginning us is that you need to get as many clients as you can, and you do not forget that you need to like show the quality of your services. And the second thing, like commitment, you should commit some performance, or I mean for the result for the client. For example, in like most every case for agencies, like, can you guarantee me like 20 meetings per month or something like that? So always commit to some sort of results, and that you can evaluate with your clients. So we did a great job. We did this, and this. And the third thing will be delivery. It's all about the technical thing, like it's all about like delivery of the results you're promised, or the way you like show the result. And you should not forget like that you need to, at the end, you need to deliver the things you promised, because this is the what clients expect from you. And about the delivery, don't forget automate some processes. Don't forget, like if you're using, for example, in our case, we're using heavily email marketing. Sometimes we can forget about spam problems that can appear when you send too much emails or send like bad email copy there. So we should care about email deliverability, for instance. So there's like tiny things that you should take care and work with and keep an eye on. And the main things is like running professional services business. It's execution, commitment, and delivery.
Understood. Thank you, Shaheem. Any kind of top 3 learnings that you could share with the audience?
For sure, yeah. I would say in terms of, especially when starting off, you should know, don't try to do everything. Don't be someone, oh yeah, I'll do email, I'll do LinkedIn, we'll have website building, we'll do ads, we'll do everything. Don't try to do everything. Really figure out, okay, what are you good at, and what you can actually deliver on, and then go with that, start with that, and then get your first client, and then start really. And when you get your first couple of clients, it's you're involved, you're going above and beyond. At this point, you're just trying to show that, hey, I'm committed, I'm going to provide excellent service, and we're going to deliver on the results that we talked about, because essentially that's how you're starting to build your brand at the beginning. So that's so important. Number one, that's number one what we do, or did in the beginning, right? Number two, something that we found really helped us build credibility is that we drink our own champagne, in that the same way that we help our clients get clients is the same way we get clients ourselves, right? So when you jump onto a meeting with a prospect, they're saying, oh, what if people don't respond to LinkedIn messages or get on a meeting? And it's like, well, you did, right? It worked on you. So it's kind of like drinking your own champagne. I think that's very important if it's possible with your agency model. And then lastly, you have to standardize processes. I think this is one of the learnings that we might have done a little bit too late, is standardizing processes, documenting them. Because what ends up happening is you're going to realize that, so agencies is a service business. Service businesses need labor. You're going to end up hiring somebody very quickly, whether it's a virtual assistant offshore or if it's a local person. But eventually, all this knowledge is going to be just in the heads of your first few employees, your co-founder, and it's not going to be as consistent or standardized. So the sooner you can start writing things down and standardizing things, documenting them, that's going to help you scale much faster. And I think that was a mistake that we made. We didn't have everything standardized. We grew to a point where we had more clients that we could kind of handle. We expected our employees to know certain things, and it didn't happen that way. So that would be my third biggest tip.
Right, I totally agree with that. And Alessandro, any kind of closing points for those agencies that are starting out or maybe figuring things out as they are beginning their journey?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna try to be super brief, and I can give you advices or maybe something that is more like on social media. That's because it's my expertise. So first of all, let's listen to trends. Like try to be there before the others. You want to be not just copying the others, but again understanding before the others. So first, the first one that actually goes to the second one, that is positioning a niche. So again, we went with something really specific. That was TikTok, TikTok number one. Then also, of course, YouTube and Instagram, all mostly doing something. But we wanted to position ourselves in a niche, and if you are there before the others, you're not competing with the 1,000 of other agencies, but you can be recognized as the expert of something. So the first one goes directly to the number two, so niche and positioning, especially if you are in something that is growing pretty fast, like social media and influencer marketing. And the last one, I'd say, it's all, we already talked about it, but out of the box activities, especially when you start, if you don't have VC money, if you are on a budget, why spend thousands of dollars on cold banners or anything that is done by others? If you are at the beginning, you have to all the time think out of the box. At least this is my opinion, and that's why it's always nice to think about automation. And at the beginning, you're gonna be alone with maybe another person, two co-founders, right? You're gonna have many things. You're gonna be CEO, CMO, CTO, so many things all together. And you might not have the money to invest in marketing, and you might not have the money to invest in another person. So try to have different hats on your head and do out-of-the-box activities. If you don't have the money to do banner ads, believe me, there are other 10, 20 different things that you can try for free or on a budget. Because again, it's mostly you at the beginning, and why do things that might cost you a fortune? And I saw many startups failing in a few months or a few years because they didn't know how to put the right effort and time in the channels that were working for them, again, maybe on a sort of free budget or super low budget. So yeah, super short, let's say these are my three big advice for someone that is just starting.
Got it. Thank you very much. Guys, we are almost out of time. So what I was thinking is, so the next part we were going to show you is how these ideas that we have discussed today, multi-channel approach, cold outreach, warm outreach, reaching out to different types of customers, automating as much as possible in that process, how that could be implemented with our platform, Reply as an example. So just to be respectful of everybody's time, we're gonna send you, everybody who joined, everybody who registered for this meeting today, we will send you a follow-up recording to illustrate these ideas and how that could be implemented. We also have a special kind of offer for everybody who registered, like an extended free trial offer, so that you guys can experiment with those approaches in our platform for free. Again, just an extended free trial. That being said, I would like to thank you guys again for joining. This has been super interesting in different areas. I love that we invited agencies of different types. So again, thank you guys for joining, and I hope people could find certain takeaways that are valuable to them. It was definitely from me. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We're going to be wrapping up. Everybody have a nice day, and thanks for joining.
All right.
Have a
Take
great
care.
one. Thanks.